Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to day 17 of albums that are 30 years old in 2023. We've been looking back all month at the year 1993. We've got 31 days here in March of 2023. We have picked out our 31 favorite albums that were released in 1993 that are celebrating a birthday this year, 30th birthday, 30th anniversary of these albums. Today, this particular one was the second and last album to be released by this U.S. band, released February 9th, 1993, recorded at various places throughout Los Angeles, California, for Charisma Records, produced by the guys in the band, maybe a few other people. I'm talking about the great Spilt Milk from Jellyfish. That's right. Power pop and rock colliding, art rock, all on this very, very, I think, influential album. This is like one of those albums that over time has taken on almost like a legendary status. Same thing with this band, because I got to be honest with you, in early 90s when they released their first two albums, I don't remember ever hearing about Jellyfish, probably because I was listening to other stuff at the time. But over the years, the legend of Jellyfish and their short career and their very influential, impactful, and quite charming music has taken on these much, much larger proportions. So, production values and songwriting, composition, and all that sort of thing. And it's very charming stuff, this Jellyfish material from these two albums. So, of course, the band, Andy Sturmer on vocals, drums, guitars, keyboards. He also, along with the rest of the guys in the band, produced the albums, multi-instrumentalist there. Roger Joseph Manning Jr. on all sorts of keyboards and vocals, and Tim Smith on bass and vocals, right? You also had Lyle Workman did some guitar work on this album. John Bryan did some guitar work on this album. You got Tom T-Bone Walk on bass as well, doing some stuff on the album. But for the most part, it was the three guys, Andy, Roger, and Tim, were the brains behind Jellyfish. And this particular album, a lot of tracks. I guess it's not like it's the longest album in the world. It's just about over 45 minutes long. But 12 songs, for the most part, short, catchy, to the point tracks, and somewhere in the 2.5 to 4 minute range for the most part. And a really interesting blend of styles. You can hear the band's influences clearly when you listen to this. You hear Queen, you hear the Beatles, you hear Beach Boys, you hear 10cc. Maybe some other kind of art rock bands may pop up for some of you as well. Those are kind of the four bands that I hear quite often. Really good use of layering keyboards and different kind of effects in the studio. Multi-tracked vocal harmonies. I mean, the vocals are just off the charts on this album. Really, really good. And then the harmonies and the melodies are just amazing. This is not a band that's going to come out there and throw at you all this like uber complicated instrumental passages and things like that. They weren't about that. It's very, very song-based. However, the way that they produce these albums and just structure these songs, it is very, very impressive from a musical standpoint. I mean, you got great tracks on here, and again, it goes from pop to more rock and stuff, hence the power pop. There's a couple gritty rockers on here. There's some lush ballads on here. If you want more of the rock and stuff, you got All Is Forgiven. He's My Best Friend is just so quirky and catchy, but yet it kind of rocks as well. Glutton of Sympathy is another good one. Ghosted Number One. Again, some of the tracks, there's at least 4 or 5 songs on here that just have this whole kind of like 60s pop psychedelic thing going on. Again, the Beatles, the Beach Boys, kind of like a blending of the two. Sometimes you hear those wonderful Queen harmonies on things like Sabrina, Paste and Play-Doh, Joining a Fan Club. Hush is another great song. Bye 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 is so catchy. It's funny because like I said, I was never like introduced to this band back in the day 30 years ago, and it wasn't until I started talking to some of my colleagues here on Sea of Tranquility a couple of years ago about like classic power pop bands, and this name Jellyfish kept coming up a lot, like in recent years. And, you know, guys like Jim Bakke and Mike Portnoy and Martin Popoff as well, and Chuck Alvarez, you know, singing the praises of this band. So, you know, I went out and got both of their albums and started listening to them. And it took me a while for it to really click with me. And when I was kind of putting together my list for this month, I was like, of course, they were one of the ones I considered. And I'm like, all right, well, let me revisit this album again. And I've listened to it a few times, and it popped in and out of my top 31. And then, like, you know, sometimes it takes a while for certain albums to really kind of gel with you. And then I was like, wow, man, this is really good. And even though I haven't been listening to this album for 30 years, obviously a lot of the stuff that's in my list I've had lots of history with and exposure to over the last 30 years. This one, the charms of this album are kind of hard to ignore, and I was like, you know what, this is really good. I'm gonna include it in my top 31. I think this is like one of those albums that's gonna continue to grow on me. Both of the Jellyfish albums, actually, because I do appreciate really good power pop, but again, it's not a style of music that I have a lot of history with. But most of what I hear that's considered power pop, I do enjoy. Right, so I think, yeah. So to me, this is kind of a no-brainer to put in this list because it adds something different to a lot of what I was listening to in 1993. A lot of stuff that I started listening to later on that also came from this year, because this year in particular, as I go through and look over my list, is this really weird mix of like some legendary veteran bands that I had been listening to for quite a while, who were still pumping out pretty good music in the early 90s. A lot of extreme metal bands that were kind of coming up out of the woodwork around this time. The early 90s was a great year for, like, you know, underground death and black metal. You have a lot of the prog bands with, you know, the early 90s, this new wave of prog renaissance. And then you have stuff like this, right? So it's kind of like a weird mix of things, right? It's a very eclectic year, I think, as opposed to, you know, 83, which we just did. 83 to me was mostly hard rock and metal. 73 was, you know, 73 is 73, right? Classic bands, whether it be hard rock or pop or you know, prog, right? So interesting how the 90s brings about an eclectic mix of things. So anyway, that is my pick for today. Jellyfish, Spilt Milk. Let us know what you think of this very engaging, quirky, and eclectic album in the comments below, as well as your pick for today, day 17. And tune in tomorrow for another one as we continue to work our way towards the 31st. And then, of course, next month we'll be moving into something totally different. We're moving away from the year thing. I basically said this before, but we're going to, in April, we're going to take a look at my, how many days are in the month? 30, 31, whatever it is. Who I consider, the guitar players who I consider the greatest riff masters in all of music. And each and every day I'll be giving you another one, and I'll probably talk about probably list my 3 favorite riffs from 3 specific songs from that particular guitar player. So it'll be kind of like name the riff, name the favorite riffs from our favorite riff masters. So it'll be a guitar player month, all month long. I'm pretty excited about it because I'm a lover of riffs, and I think it's going to be really challenging for me to put together a list of my 30 favorites. You know, I could probably off the top of my hat name 10 of them, which is, you know, no-brainers, and then it's like, because there's so many of them, and I'm like, all right, trying to whittle it down to 30 is going to be really, really interesting. So that's my challenge and your challenge for the month of April. So and then we got I'm already working on something for May, which was suggested by one of our loyal viewers, and that's going to be fun too. And it's going to kind of go back to year based, but it's going to be more of a decade look. It's going to be like kind of favorite style of albums from a specific decade, and so I'm going to have to look at an entire 10-year period and pick out my favorite like 30 albums from that decade. So more about that probably in April. I'll kind of flesh that out and tell you all about that. So this way you guys have time to do your homework as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Quick, I want to mention this because I have mentioned it many times. I posted it on Facebook and here on YouTube. Guys, if you're getting comments on any of your comments in the chat, in the comments section, where it appears to be coming from Sea of Tranquility saying you have won a prize, please contact us to collect your prize, whatever. It's spam. Okay, it's a spam bot that's running rampant all over YouTube, especially on the larger YouTube channels. So if you get that message, it's not coming from us. Ignore it. Report it as spam. You have the little option to report a comment to your comment as spam. Please report that back so YouTube is aware of it. If I happen to see it, I usually will ban those things from posting, right? But I can't be finding all those because I'm not looking at all the comments all the time. So, but people, even though I've announced this a couple times, people are still sending me emails daily saying, Pete, I don't know if this is legit. Did I win a prize? I'm like, no, you didn't win a prize. It's not coming from us. So please do be on the lookout for those. And like I said, just ignore them, but do report them as spam to YouTube. That would be greatly appreciated so that they're not legit at all. So thanks for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that notification bell so you get alerted of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. So thanks for watching, everybody. I am Pete Pardo. We'll see you tomorrow morning with another one of these, but stay tuned just a little bit. Martin Popoff's coming in to join me in the Funhouse, so stay tuned for that. We also have Ranking the Albums coming up on Sunday, Bruce Springsteen, and lots more happening next week. So thanks for watching. Have a good weekend, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.